Well, I'm back. And I'm sure there's some folks out there that are really disappointed. And sorry to ruin your day, but we made it back. No, it's been quite a month, and I'm not going to go into detail today. As I told the audience before we turned on the camera, I had to have emergency throat surgery on February the 3rd, and I will give you all the details next Sunday if my voice holds out, and I will explain what happened, and I will give you the scripture for what happened. And it was, without a doubt, the most horrific, painful, and frightening experience I've ever had in my entire life. And I wouldn't wish what I went through on my worst enemy. But God has a purpose for it, and it very quickly became obvious to me what the purpose was. We're going through a series of New Covenant prophecy messages. And this is not just dead doctrinal stuff. This is not just nuances of eschatology. What we're talking about is the preeminence, the glory, the majesty of Christ's new covenant. And the devil hates it. And the Israel packages and the prophecy packages that we're still putting together are messages that have not been preached popularly in this country for over 150 years. And the devil made it very clear months and months ago, that he did not like the messages that we were teaching. But then this month, he declared war on the message. I do not look at what happened to me, and I'll explain all this next Sunday. And I'm hoping that all of you will be watching next Sunday. It's going to be a message like you've never heard before. And it's right in the middle of our prophecy series, and it belongs there. The whole experience was an illustration of the power and the glory of the new covenant. And I saw that in the middle of the storm, and I realized, even to a greater degree, the privilege that we have to have been chosen by God to be able to preach this message to the United States. We are on hallowed ground, and I pray that you will come next week and you'll hear the story, and you'll understand better what I'm trying to say about the new covenant is the lesson. It's not about me. It was not about my health. It was about the glory of the new covenant and the hatred that Satan has for it, and the battle that is enjoined when we decide to follow Christ and preach his new covenant to those who have never heard it. So that's kind of a backdrop, and I'm not going to go into detail. Next Sunday I will go into vivid detail of what happened and help you understand the things that I just said a moment ago. So today, for those of you, I guess I need to do this before I go any further. Everybody in the room, let's give these folks online a real good Liberty Fellowship welcome. Glad that they're here. So my purpose in being back today was not to preach a sermon. My voice just is not ready for that. So I'm not going to be preaching a sermon today. And next, I'm testing the voice, seeing how well we can speak and how long we can go, and we'll try to keep it low-key, casual conversation tone, so we don't strain it and then set ourselves back. Hopefully, everything goes well. Another week of healing, and I'll be able to bring the message next Sunday, and then the message after that. I can still use a little more up here, Jason. And then the message after that will be Resurrection Sunday. And in all of this timing, if it works, on Resurrection Sunday, I'll bring the message that I was going to bring weeks ago from Revelation chapter 11, which I told you was the most important chapter in the entire book of Revelation. It's the crossroads of the book, and it's what the book of Revelation is really all about, chapter 11. And so all of this happened, and as a result, we put everything back. But if it works like I'm hoping it will, what a punch in the nose to that mass murderer. And that's what happened to me. Was not a simple sickness. What happened to me was an attempted homicide. And what a punch in the nose for Satan, that we will be able, with God's protective will, to preach Revelation chapter 11, the seventh trumpet, on Resurrection Sunday. So that is the agenda. And so pray that everything goes accordingly. So today, I'm getting acclimated to our new house. We're meeting at the Hampton Inn now in Kalispell, which is on the west side of town, which is more convenient for me. Straight out 7 miles and I'm home. But it's really a nice auditorium. It's much different. It's longer, narrower, but more homey feeling. Do you feel that way? It seems like it's more at home. And getting acclimated to the sound and everything about it, just helping me to kind of get the feel of the new place. And by the way, those of you that are going to be visiting, maybe over the summer, maybe you might want to visit with us on Easter Sunday when we bring the message on Revelation chapter 11 on the seventh trumpet. And the Hampton, which is owned by Hilton, is giving a really good discount to the visitors that come. And we'll be putting all that up on our website on libertyfellowshipmt.com. We've already got the Hampton link for you, but we're going to add the discount rates, and it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to need to contact one particular individual here at the hotel and let him know you're with Liberty Fellowship. He'll make sure you get the discount. His name is Chris, right? We're calling Chris. So we're going to get all that up on the website, and you'll be able to call the phone number, talk to Chris, tell him you're visiting Liberty Fellowship, and they're going to give you a real nice discount for doing that. And that was really great of the Hampton to do that. So we hope that you'll join us when you can here and stay at the Hampton. Really nice hotel. And I think that you'll really enjoy your stay, and you will enjoy the discount price, and the rooms will be nice and all of that. So I hope that you'll do that, and we will put that information up. Do we have anybody here for the first time? I came in the side door, and usually I'm around shaking hands and all that. Nobody here for the first time. Anybody here for the last time? Yes, I see those hands. So what I'm going to do today is just talk. I'm going to read letters, and I'm going to talk. And we'll see how this goes. And if our voice starts to go, then we'll quit. Just for today. Is that okay? Is it okay? He's not very spiritual. He didn't preach a sermon. I'm living a sermon. I'm not preaching a sermon. I'm living a sermon. I'm living a sermon by being here today. Okay, this first one is from a lady, and she writes really nice, but it's kind of small, so maybe I can read this. Dear LF family, first I would like to offer my deepest prayers for Pastor Chuck and his rapid healing and continuous health. Also, please express my thanks to Brother Allen for standing in the gap. I know that it took great courage to follow Pastor Chuck's shoes. His shoes are bigger than mine, actually. The Lord blessed his message, and he spoke with authority. Praise God. Praying also for Mrs. Pastor Chuck, that God will give her patience. Oh, yes, definitely she needs that. Patience, courage. Anybody married to me for over 40 needs a lot of patience. And strength. Love Misty doesn't tell me where she's come from. Thank you, Misty. Give Misty a good hand. God bless you, girl. This one touches my heart, and I'll read it first. Liberty Fellowship, a small gift from the crew of the USS Liberty for your move to a new location, having been kicked out of the Hilton. Thanks for your support over the years. Ron Kukul is truly your friend. USS Liberty crew. I found out that they were doing that. They sent a nice financial gift to Liberty Fellowship to help us with the transition. And when I found out about it, I contacted Ron and said, please don't do that. We've just sent you money from the sale of your DVD, and we want to be a blessing to you, and I wish you wouldn't do that. And in typical Ron Kukul fashion, he's just always kind of cut and dry. Too late. Checks in the mail. But you guys, and this was from all the crew, this wasn't just from Ron and Phil and Ron and all of you guys at the USS Liberty Veterans Association, to think enough of Liberty Fellowship to give some of the donations that people have given you to us is just a real touching sentiment. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And as far as I'm concerned, we're in the same fight. And as long as I'm alive, and thank God I'm alive, we are going to continue to help and support the members of the crew of the USS Liberty, and we're going to continue to tell the story of the USS Liberty. Amen. Okay, John, if you'll be my runner today real quick, bring me a copy of the book of the USS Liberty, if we have that back there. And bring that up. Oh, what happened to you? Yeah, right. I told you not to mess with Emily. Didn't I tell you that? What in the world did he do? If you don't have the USS Liberty, remember the Liberty? I sure encourage you to get it. It's the true story of what happened whenever the Israeli government flew unmarked French Mirage jets, tried to sink USS Liberty and put every one of our sailors and Marines on the bottom of the Mediterranean, and how it failed by an act of God, and how Lyndon Johnson and McNamara, Secretary of Defense, and the media all collaborated together to cover up the story for all of these years. And these men have been trying so hard to get the word out, and we're trying to help them. So if you don't have the book, Remember the Liberty, I hope that you will get that today. Mr. Baldwin and Liberty Fellowship, thank you for fighting the good fight and not giving up. Your friend across the water, Sarah, in Scotland. Dear Chuck, along with the enclosed donation, I wanted to send a word of encouragement to you as well. I have read the letter from the people in Helena who have listened to every sermon in the past year and are just drinking it in. Upon hearing that, I knew I needed to share with you the impact you've had on my life. Since I followed you from here in Iowa over the past roughly 10 years. Your preaching, teaching on truth and biblical principles on liberty and natural law have opened up a whole new dimension of faith for me that I would never have learned elsewhere. You've been a voice and a model for me about God-fearing, what God-fearing actually looks like. Before I knew about you, I already knew the false doctrines of Romans 13 and dispensationalism. And how they had destroyed the USS Liberty. I can't put into words how refreshing it is to hear you preach boldly on these topics in particular. It's become very apparent to me that your preaching carries the greatest message of hope and stirs people to action. The combination of seeing through false doctrine along with liberty and natural law principles is actually what challenges people to the highest level of courage and devotion to Christ and liberty. Your sermons, like Is the Harvest Past, are realistic, not fatalistic. Thank you. You've expressed in more than one of your sermons how you look forward to meeting your dad when you get to heaven and having years to walk around with him. You have made such an impact on my life that I hope you can reserve a year or two to walk around heaven with me. I love you and I'm praying for you. Sincerely, Galen in Iowa. Give it, Galen, a good thank you for that very much. These next two are from kids. Pastor Chuck, I really like your messages. Your prophecy messages are really good. The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse is my favorite. Cohen, age 7. Back there, okay. Thank you, Cohen. Dear Pastor Chuck, your messages are good and helpful. The demons have arrived is my favorite. Warren, age 5. Yeah, the demons have arrived was the last prophecy message I preached before the attack. So when you start talking about demonic activity, it's no joke. It's very real. Over my 40 plus years of pastoring, I have had my share of experiences with demon-possessed people. And I've seen demon possession up close and personal, and have done spiritual battle with it on several occasions. And it was not a coincidence that that message on the demons have arrived was the message, the last one I preached before the attempted homicide by the demons of hell. And so, thank you very much. I enjoy getting letters from young people, and I think this might be one of the youngest anyway that we've got, age 5 and age 7. So, thank you guys, appreciate that. Thank you, Pastor Baldwin and LF, for all you do. You, your family, and the fellowship are in our prayers. The Holy Scriptures became alive to me through your inspired teachings and sermons. Thanks be to the Lord for sending me to Liberty Fellowship, your online member of the flock, Sabine, in Great Britain. Let's give Sabine a good hand all the way from Great Britain. Early in the morning, and late at night. 11:30, 12 o'clock, midnight. Thanks, Chuck, for all your hard work. Thanks to the people behind the scenes for the live stream and the website. You're doing the Lord's work, Jacob, Orange City, Iowa. Can you please pass my thanks and appreciation to Pastor Chuck for all he does, and my love to him and all of you at Liberty Fellowship. I appreciate your dedication and preaching. I am loving the prophecy series and can't wait to see where it goes. You know, I like that way he said that. Because when I started this back in 2014 with Christ and the Pharisees, 3 messages, Christ and the Pharisees, I had no idea where it was going. I had no idea. All I knew is that what I had learned was wrong, and that I had an open heart, totally open for the truth. And as God taught me truth, I taught you. I didn't know where it was going either. Everything I had known to be true, I had to cast aside. And so now I'm learning everything brand new. And when I first started, that kind of bothered me at first. Because that's not the way typically we preachers prepare. We know what the end is before we start. It's like an attorney in the courtroom. He doesn't ask any question in court that he doesn't already know the answer to. And every question leads to a following question. And he has a plan, and he knows where he's going and the end. And that's the way I've been in my pastoral study for the most part, is that I know where I'm going with this study. And it may take several weeks or months to get to the end, but I have a path and I know where I'm going. So this was this was totally new. I didn't know where I was going. And I knew that I couldn't wait for 10 years to teach the truth of what I was learning. And so there's only one way to do it, and that was, as God taught it to me, I taught it to you. So we learned it together. And I didn't know where the Christ and the Pharisees, still maybe the foundational series of the whole package. And I had no idea, you know. And I'm learning and I'm learning and I'm learning. I'm sharing. And now then, when we finish the Israel packages, now we're maybe halfway through the prophecy packages. Maybe not quite halfway now, because more sermons keep coming. But now that I look back, and I can see how everything fits.
Yes. Amen.
And I wasn't trying to make it fit. I didn't know what fit and what didn't fit. I just had to learn it. And everything that we talked about in the Israel packages has now come, or is now coming to fruition in the prophecy packages. Everything we said 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago is matching exactly the prophetic scriptures that we're reading regarding Revelation to a T. Everything fits. And it's been the most exciting thing for me to be able to be a part of, because this is a preacher trying to put a hypothesis together theologically. This is a preacher just following the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit has already put it together, and all he's doing is showing me piece by piece how the puzzle fits, and it fits. It fits. So I love that. See where it's going. It's been exciting for me too to see where is this going. It's great. I thought you might take some encouragement from what happened to me last year. I see this as nothing short of God's work. I put principle ahead of the material, and God has vindicated me and restored everything I lost, plus more. He quit his job over Christian convictions and had no idea how he was going to make a living. And by faith did the right thing, and he's telling me now in this letter that God has restored everything that he had lost and given more than he had before. I hope you may find some encouragement from this, knowing that I have brothers and sisters, and convictions always gives me strength to stand for what's right. Your brother in Christ, Max, doesn't tell me where he's from. Salute you, Max. Thank you for your conviction. May God bless you. All right, this is from USS Liberty survivor Phil Turney. Dear Pastor Chuck, thank you for sharing my letter in your last column. You prayed for the folks at Hilton that stabbed you in the back. The USS Liberty crew has been betrayed and canceled most of our lives. They are frightened of the truth, protecting Israel and our crooked government. You're a tough, good man sharing the real words of God. What a blessing. God kept the Liberty afloat for the truth to be told. You and we are in the same boat, a very righteous boat. It is a great honor listening to you, shaking your hand. That was a good day, especially for our friend Ron's well-deserved honor from the crew. Phil, USS Liberty survivor. Once again, give Phil a good hand. God bless you, sir. We love you very much. I watch Pastor Chuck on YouTube from California. I'm also reading The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine, as he recommended. Want to grab that for me, John? Are you busy doing something? Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine. We got that back there? Maybe. Oh, okay, we're out. Well, it must be sold out. Sorry, John. It's like when I first started working for General Motors in Detroit, I was working my way through Bible college. And so I worked at night in the assembly line. I worked in two plants, Plant 1 and Plant 5. And they're all torn down now. You go to Detroit, it's awful. But so, when you're the new guy on the floor, it's always fun. And so everybody in the factory had to wear safety glasses. And I mean, it's my first week, and the buildings are huge, and you can't. I mean, they're blocks and blocks square. They're just massive, massive buildings. In the assembly line, you couldn't even see the end of the assembly line if you were at the beginning of it, and so. I've been there 2-3 days, and one of the older guys says, "Hey, Chuck, I want you to run down to the end of the assembly line and see a guy down there. His named Joe." I'm just making up the name. I can't remember what it was. See Joe. And I want you to give him a message. And I don't remember what the message was. Some stupid thing. And I said, "Well, how will I know who Joe is?" He says, "Oh, he's wearing glasses." So what do? I run down to the end of the assembly line, and I start looking for a guy named Joe who's wearing glasses. And then it dawns on me. Everybody's wearing glasses. I just took the bait, hook, line, and sinker. What a dope. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed doing that to the next guy that came in after me. So I'm sorry to run you on a goose chase back there. Ethnic cleansing of Palestine, true story of how Israel became a state off of the genocide, murder, ethnic cleansing, rape, pillage, and plunder of the Palestinian people. If you don't have that book, you better get it. Better get it soon. I have a feeling it's not going to be in print too much longer. And we're one of the last major distributors for the book. I'm reading The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine. I grew up as an Israel First evangelical church, but my eyes have now been opened. Steve in Oakland, California. Give Steve a good hand. Pastor Chuck, I hope that you, your family, the Liberty Fellowship family are doing well. I know that you won't be meeting at the Hilton Garden. I'm going forward, but I hope you found a new location to hold your messages. I can't tell you how thankful I am to have found Liberty Fellowship, and I know that I'm not alone in that sentiment. Jason in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Yep, Hampton Inn, if you came in late, is where we are. And they will give discounts, very generous discounts, to anybody who wants to come and visit us and stay here at the Hampton. So I hope that you'll maybe make a decision to do that in the near future. And there's a fellow you'll have to contact, one fellow, his name is Chris, and he's handling all of our stuff. So we'll have that up on the website this week. We'll have the contact information. We've already got the phone number and the Hampton link, but we don't have the discount information and the contact information. So we'll have that up this week for you. Dr. Baldwin has an impressive dossier resume, and noting, quote, endorsed by Texas Republican Congressman Dr. Ron Paul, and, quote, an unorganized, unincorporated, non-denominational, non-501c3 fellowship, close quote, from our biographical sketch online. Quickly brings me to the conclusion, as a very wise man and in Christ indeed. When God restores my lost career, another man who took a stand for conviction and lost a job over it. When God restores my lost career, I'll make a donation while purchasing the latest prophecy package. I believe we have much in common, yet I'm confident I could learn much from Dr. Chuck. Again, thanks. Please pass along my regards with ongoing blessings, favor, and angelic protection. Thank you so much. How many times have I said, pray for each other's protection? How many times have I said that? It goes in one ear and out the other because we hear it all the time. Pray for each other's protection. Without the protective hand of God, we are all toast. And I mean toast. Burnt toast. Truly. His angelic protection over him, his family, extended yourself, family, and ministry and families. Amen, amen. Thank you, Jesus. Kevin in Canada. Thank you, Kevin. Okay, this is in response to the column I wrote about my dad. I titled it, The Greatest Man I Ever Knew. Absolutely inspirational. Thank you for sharing about your dad. Just to let you know, you've taught me and my husband so much about God in a way that I can understand. I praise God for how amazingly captivating your columns and sermons are and how he speaks through you. I pray God will continue to bless you and your entire family, Alex and Tracy. Don't tell me where they're from. Hey, Chuck. I can't count the number of times I've read the articles you've written about your dad, but each time they inspire me and bring tears to my eyes. Thank you for honoring his memory and the impact he had and still has on many lives. May God continue to bless the Baldwin family with great respect and admiration. Tom, Oklahoma. Tom, I know personally, businessman there. One of the very best men in the country. One of the finest Christian gentlemen you'll ever meet. He's an oil executive, and he does tremendous work for the cause of liberty. He's a terrific guy. Tom, if you're watching, I love you. Thank God for you. So he mentioned it. Find my dad's CD back there, the Unshackled. It's green cover. While he's bringing that up, as someone struggling with alcohol, thank you, I look forward to this CD. I appreciate the fearless truth-telling of your preaching, your willingness to tell the people what they need to hear and not the empty, feel-good, false teaching of many in the church today is a welcome breath of fresh air. Steve, Upland, California. Well, Steve, the CD, and for any of you, it's Unshackled, the Edwin J. Baldwin story. This is a dramatized story, which means professional actors dramatize this story. They had a script written up, and as actors, they performed. But it was radio, not television. So the mechanism we have to distribute to you is a CD. We do not have this on DVD, so it's an audio version only. But it's the true story of my dad's deliverance from alcohol addiction. After being an alcoholic for over 20 years, God saved him and delivered him from alcohol. And not only did God save him, but healed him as well, because when Dad got saved, his health was in horrible shape. I mean, if he hadn't gotten saved, he would not have lived very long. And so God touched his body as well. And he never had one drink, not one drop of beer or wine or any alcoholic beverage whatsoever from the day he accepted Christ as Savior. And it's one of the most remarkable stories of deliverance of the 20th century. And we will send this CD free of charge to anybody who wants it. And so if you know somebody's suffering with addiction, or maybe you are, order that. Hear the story of my dad. It's the real story, nothing made up. It's all true, and it really happened. And I think it'll help a lot of people. Already has. How am I doing? How long have we been doing this now? We have a clock in here. 2 of them. I don't know if I like that. So I'm going to be watching you guys. If I see you going, that would be the next step. I got a word from the Lord. The clocks are coming off the wall. Back in the big church we had down south, we had a huge clock in the back. I'm the only one that could see it. And of course I always ignored it. I don't know why they put it up there, but it was big, it was in the back, but I'm the only one that could see it. But now here we got 2 and everybody can see them. So just in case, it's 3:20. Hope you're resting up well, Chuck. Oh, I've been resting all right. Praying for you. Your son-in-law is doing a fantastic job on his sermons. They have been very encouraging, and we are grateful for the messages he gave. Chad in California. Thank you, Chad. Pastor Chuck, thank you for sharing about your dad. I enjoy hearing about his life, especially about how he was freed from his alcohol addiction. I have a family member I'd like to share his story and have a copy of that story. I would like to be able to pay the postage if it's needed. No, we don't charge anything for that CD. We have recently started, and this is part of the reason I brought this one to the podium. We have recently started listening to your Sunday sermons and signed up to be a satellite group fellowship in our area. So we have a brand new Liberty Fellowship group in Gans, G-A-N-S, Gans, Oklahoma. This is Sharon. We just ordered the Israel package, and we listen to 1 sermon a day. So if you live anywhere near the Gans, and I don't know where that is, AB, you know where that is? If you live anywhere near Gans, Oklahoma, we have a brand new Liberty Fellowship satellite group that's meeting every Sunday and watching Liberty Fellowship together. Go to our webpage and look for the Liberty Fellowship group satellite link. Go down by state, find Oklahoma, look for the city Gans. You'll see an email address, that's Sharon. Give her an email, that's how you can make contact, and come together with like-minded, freedom-loving, God-fearing people in your area. So it's a great way to get connected. So let's welcome the new satellite in Gans, Oklahoma. Give them a good welcome. That's great. Awesome. God bless you. We're praying for you. We've missed hearing your sermons these past 2 weeks. It's truly a blessing to hear your son-in-law fill in for you. However, we're looking forward to seeing your smiling face back in the pulpit, Diane. Tell Chuck that we love him in my family. And this guy is from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And he spells his name R-E space A-L. Real? Do you think that's about right? Real? We're loved in his family, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Real, I hope I got it right. Give Real a good hand. God bless you. Just a few more, and I'm still talking, so that's not bad. Please convey to Alan Baker. See, that's why I had to hurry up and get back here. Please convey to Alan Baker that I was impressed on how well he did at following a very tough act those first 2 Sundays, but yesterday he won my heart. Yeah, great. I've long and seriously wondered about the meaning of poor in spirit. When the answer finally came, it was so stunningly satisfying and pertinent to the moment that I felt the wait was worth it. In fact, the whole sermon lit me on fire. I think we are all thirsting for a message that authentically speaks to the colossal issues of our day. When some well-formulated ray of truth penetrates the miasma of lies and corruption we've been so long and heavily enveloped in, it's all the more inspiring for being so rare. Yes, amen. It brings tears to my eyes and chokes me up to think a pastor brought low by some illness or accident. I missed the first part of that first Sunday online, which may explain why I don't know what happened to him. No, I haven't shared with anybody what happened to me, and even today I haven't shared. I've just given snippets. But next Sunday, Lord willing, my voice continues to improve so I can actually preach. I'm not trying to preach today. I'm just trying to test the voice, see how I can do. And I'm going to give you the entire story, and I'm going to give you a vivid detail of it, and I'm going to show you how it all ties in to our prophecy messages. And I'm going to show you the satanic origin of it, and how the scripture tells us that these things will happen to us. And the truth of the new covenant being so precious and so powerful, and how Satan hates it with a passion, and he hates anybody who stands up and defends and promotes the new covenant truth of the gospel and the kingdom of Christ. And so I'm going to go into great detail, and that message next Sunday will be the next prophecy message, because when we're done preaching it, you're going to understand that it is exactly part and parcel of the prophecy package. It's not segregated at all. It's all intertwined, and you'll see that in the message next Sunday. So whatever you do, please watch the message next Sunday. I feel that Pastor's return will be dramatic. I don't know how dramatic it was, but here I am. And that'll have something even more essential than usual to communicate when we see him again. When you tune in next Sunday, you're going to hear something unusual. I promise. I pray it'll be very soon. I need it. With a grateful heart and warm wishes to Alan Baker, Bob in Clifton, New Jersey. Give Bob a good hand. Thank you, Bob. Alan is a real man of God. And I don't just say that because he's my son-in-law. I say that because it's the truth. He is a student of the Word. He is a teacher of the Word. He's preached to teenagers for, where's Sarah? Where'd she go? She's in the back. How long is she? Over 25 years. He's preached to teenagers. So he's not a stranger to the podium. And he's very well versed. And his heart burns with the love of Christ. and the love of truth and the love of young people. And he's just a tremendous man of God. Sarah could have searched the world over and never found a better man than Alan Baker. And Alan could have gone to the moon and Mars and never found someone better than Sarah. So cuts both ways. In short, I would be willing to provide you. Oh, no. Sorry, that was all of that. This is a new one. From Alaska. First, I want to say thank you. I've never contacted you, but I've been reading your columns since I was a young man in my early 20s. And now I'm 38. So almost 18 years. What you provided helped me throw off the blinders that so many from the Christian right have. And I've used your material in everything from Sunday school classes to mentoring boys and young men. You've made a big impact on my life and others through me. I read your column on defensive firearms this morning. My last column was on my preferences for the defensive firearms. I read that column, and I would like to make myself available if you would ever like to use me in the future for a background. I was an Appleseed instructor when I was a teenager. I spent over a decade on multiple SWAT teams, been a team leader and primary instructor on SWAT, 15 years as a police officer, and I'm currently a firearms instructor, rifle, pistol, shotgun, sniper, for a large police agency. I'm a certified armorer for these platforms as well. If needed, I have a large variety of certifications, training, and references I could pass along. In short, I'd be willing to provide you with content regarding firearms or tactics. If you wish to distribute it, I would prefer my name not be used, but I don't mind a general description of my background for bona fides. Your leadership has been instrumental in my development, and of course that of many other people. If I could offer you this from an area where I am subject matter expert to provide better information to our people, quote unquote, it would be my pleasure. And I'll just say that he's from Alaska. And that's tremendous encouragement. I mean, that was with your background, and to know that God has used us in your life for almost 20 years, and to see you be willing to help other people and in the area that is so important to us today, when you got goose-stepping goons like Joe Biden in the White House trying to take our guns away from us, making it his goal in life as president to take away guns from the American people. It's good to know that guys like this guy in Alaska are out there. And I tell you, just real quick note, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say to Mr. Biden, with all due respect, sir, number one, you're an idiot. Number two, you ain't never taking our guns. Not going to happen. Don't know about California, don't know about Connecticut, don't know about New Jersey, Massachusetts, but I do know about Montana. Not happening. I'm a 76-year-old Reformed pastor and combat Marine, served in Vietnam. And I'm in full agreement with you. This is so encouraging. And you get a letter from a pastor. Christians are not preparing, period. God's sovereignty does not promote passivity when danger threatens. Cannot wait for your book. He ordered the book to keep or not to keep. John. Mike in Bristol, Connecticut. Give Mike a good hand. So my youngest son is an attorney, and he and I collaborated on this book a few years ago. Most of you probably already have it in the room here. To Keep or Not to Keep, Why Christians Should Not Give Up Their Guns. Now, there's been tomes of books written on the subject of gun rights from a constitutional perspective, Second Amendment. I mean, those hundreds and volumes, thousands. That's not the way we approach the subject. Tim and I approach the subject from a biblical perspective. What does the Bible say about the right of self-defense? And we go in depth into both testaments, the Old and the New. We look at the verses that are used by the no-gun preachers to prove that God does not want us to be armed and that we should not be armed. And if the government tells you to surrender your arms, you should obey and surrender your arms. We look at all those verses and we give you the truth of what they're saying. And we go into all of the scriptures. Well, I'd say all. The vast majority of the scriptures in the Bible that deal with this subject are in this book. So that's what makes this book different from all the other pro-gun books out there. Yes, we have a Second Amendment, but the Second Amendment does not give any of us the right to keep and bear arms. The only thing the Second Amendment does is protect the right that we have from God to keep and bear arms. And if you don't understand that, then you don't understand the Bible. In fact, we show in the book that any Christian that is not prepared to defend themselves and others has abdicated the Christian faith, has violated the Word of God. It's not a matter of preference. This is a matter of spiritual and scriptural conviction. This is a biblical truth that is seen throughout the entire Scripture. And so if you don't have this book, I offer it to you, and that's the book that Mike was referring to that I just read. Okay, this is the last one I have. This is special to me. We are living in Honduras now and watch you every Sunday. We just celebrated our 3rd wedding anniversary. God bless and prayers for Pastor Baldwin. Rick and Mandy now living in Honduras. Now, it's special because I married Rick and Mandy here in the valley 3 years ago. And sweet, precious Christian couple. And so now they have moved to Honduras and they watch us every Sunday from Honduras. And it's great to know that, 3 years ago I married them. And they're still married. Yes. So it's just good to hear from them. Good to hear that, where they are and that they're watching every Sunday, and just, we love you guys. And we married them out east of town, I think it was, in one of those, what do you call them, Airbnb things? Is that what's it's called? Yeah. So that's where we had it, and really enjoyed ourselves. And a preacher said one time that he'd rather perform a funeral than a wedding. And somebody heard him say that and said, "Why would you say something like that?" And he said, "Well, because the funeral will last." Work on it. Work on it. It's coming to you. Sad how the devil has gotten into our basic institutions of our society, but they're going to make it. I believe they're going to make it. They've got it together. I've had some folks that I've married since I've been here. I've married quite a few actually, and there's been more than one, sadly, that are not married anymore, and it hasn't been that long. So it's always good when you hear from somebody like that. Okay. I'm still talking. Still talking. Please, if you need to ask, I guess apologize for not preaching a sermon. I knew I didn't have the voice for it. I would have never made it. And I wanted to be here, and I wanted to chat with our local folks, and I wanted to chat with you folks online, and had all these letters built up over the last several weeks, and so I thought, we're just going to chat, you and I. So you chatted to me when you wrote what you wrote in the letter, and then I chatted to you with my comments. And I just want to say that I'm sure glad I'm standing here today. And you all look really good to me. Enjoy this euphoria that I've swept over my body while it lasts, folks. Yes, you look really good to me. Your prayers have meant a lot, and I know that you were praying blindly because you didn't know what the situation was. As far as you knew, it was just a simple sinus infection or something like that. Which you got to understand this about the Baldwin clan. If any of us are not here on a Sunday, something bad has happened. We don't stay home for colds and sniffles and sore feet and headaches and backaches and all the myriad numbers of excuses that people have not to go to church. The ladies in our family, Sarah, my wife, if the baby was born at the beginning of the week, they, mother and baby, were in church the next Sunday. Little baby was in the nursery. Mom was in church. Next Sunday, Sarah, my wife, if the baby was born at the end of the week, they were in church the following Sunday. That's just the way it was, and the way it always has been. And tough girls in our family. Don't mess with them. They'll chew you up and spit you out for supper. I had, I've never been to the hospital until now. In my 70, never been a patient in a hospital. And this would be about 20 years ago, I had my, what do you call it? I got my gallbladder. Right there is my gallbladder. That's what, my gallbladder taken out. And never was I happier to see a part of my body leave me than when the gallbladder left me. Hallelujah. A infected gallbladder will make you feel like you're dying. It makes you feel like you have a heart attack. And at first, that's what I thought it was going on. It's man, oh man, oh man. And I went through all the tests. Heart's fine. Well, that's really a relief, but what in the world is going on? So then they started doing all the other tests, and then, and they came back and said, well, you've got a couple large gallstones. And the doctor said, now, they're not going to kill you, but they're going to make you feel like you're dying. So it's up to you. As long as you want to keep it, enduring the pain, you live with them forever. So whenever you want them out, we'll take them out. So me, the way I am, my nature, I ain't going under the knife. Poor Dr. Ann. I'm a lousy patient. I'm telling you, it's so. I endured that for another year. And finally, one morning about 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm sitting up, doing this, excruciating pain. I said, okay. So I had it out. Well, when they took it out, they came in and said, no, you didn't have just 2. Your gallbladder was absolutely filled to the brim with gallstones. So it was good to say goodbye to my gallbladder. But I had that done whatever day of week it was. On next Sunday, I was in the pulpit. I didn't miss a Sunday for gallbladder. I had my knee surgery up here. Next Sunday, I'm in the pulpit. The point is that I take my responsibility in this pulpit very seriously. It's an honor, it's a privilege, and it's a duty for me to be here. And I will be here. And if I'm not here, something bad has taken place. Now, typically, it's a bad sinus infection. Knocks me out. Maybe for a Sunday. 3 Sundays. I'm urging you to be in attendance next Sunday. And let me tell you the story. Let me show you from the Bible what happened. Let me show you how the attacks of Satan are aimed at the people that are serving God and preaching new covenant truth, and how it happened to me, and how totally, thoroughly naive and stupid I was in the hands of the most sophisticated, intelligent serial killer in the universe, Satan, who toyed with me like I was a little boy. How I fell into his trap and did not even recognize where I was and what was happening. I'm going to tell you the story, and it's going to be unlike anything you've heard. And it's right out of the apocalypse. And I believe with all of my heart, the timing of this event was directly related to the messages that we're preaching in the prophecy series from Revelation, emphasizing the new covenant of the Lord Jesus Christ. The devil hates it. And he did his best, and he almost succeeded. Online, I'm asking you to please spread the word to your friends and loved ones. Next Sunday, the title is Satan's Attack Against These New Covenant Prophecy Messages. That's the title of next Sunday's message. And I'm going to tell you the story, and I'm going to show you the Word of God. And I believe when I'm done, you're going to have a greater appreciation than ever before for the wonder, the glory, the majesty of the new covenant and the reality of the real battle that we are in with the enemy who hates the new covenant gospel of Jesus Christ. And Liberty Fellowship, what a privilege we have to be able to stand here every day, every Sunday, and minister that new covenant truth to people, not just in the United States, but all over the world. What an honor we have.